All right, we are live for the Tuesday edition of the Morning Check-In. And as always, looking forward to connecting and, of course, finding out what you guys are keeping your eyes on. And, of course, sharing what's on my radar. So let's get it started, man. Happy Tuesday to everybody. And it's going to be an interesting week, month, and months, and the remainder of the year. Of course, everybody, I've watched more than enough commentary on the recent events over the last 48 hours. And other than what information that's been presented, there's always more to the story that you will not find out, and so I'm not going to really dive deep into that event that took place this weekend. But regardless of what comes from this moving forward, one thing I can guarantee, no president whatsoever or nothing out of DC will really be beneficial in the end, or will put more purchasing power back into your pocket. So just keep that in mind. And yeah, so feel free to throw thoughts, ideas, suggestions out there in the chat. Curious to get your take, of course. But at the end of the day, we have a VP that has been selected, and immediately, soon as the VP was selected, a lot of I guess concerning information hit the airways as well, where people shared Mr. JD Vance, his previous stance, and of course, anybody's capable of changing heart, changing their minds, and flip-flopping and coming to the light, if that is something we want to call it. But at the end of the day, I'm going to share some information here with you that really should be of concern. But yeah, I'm not going to dive much into the political scene just because I don't want to, I don't really see anything worthwhile coming from any of this, regardless of whatever party or affiliation that people want to claim they're a part of, just because as we've witnessed as of now, yeah, nothing beneficial at the end of the day is going to really come from any of this. And yeah, so anyway, but welcome to the live stream, and feel free to share your thoughts, ideas, suggestions on things. And of course, everybody has opinions and a perspective to share, so I want to make sure I give people a chance to do that in the chat, and I'll go from there. But I have maybe 5-6 different subjects of things that I think is worth bringing to the forefront, just to put it out there and let you guys chew on it and do what you must with it and go from there. But make sure everything is flowing smoothly. Let me know in the chats if audio is good, the video is good. I want to make sure I'm talking to myself. And feel free to let me know if we got any first-time viewers. We'll definitely love to welcome you to the community and go from there. So what I'll do is start off with the resources, typical things I do, then dive right into the subject matter at hand. 5 subjects and then some bonuses on top of that. Want to try to condense things down and just focus on what matters most. And I think it has a lot to do with the liquidity. And so keep your eyes on the spigot. The spigot is going to be turned back on. And when it does, there'll be a chain of events that we all can, I guess, be aware of, pay attention to. And so this moment in time now has always been the preparation phase for those that realize what must come and how to better take advantage of the opportunities that are in our midst, because it's going to be some potentially life-changing opportunities for those who have strategies and are working towards accomplishing those goals that they have. So yeah, it's going to be good, man. But let me jump right in. So Rob B, appreciate you, man. Says, my question is, was Trump in it or not? It depends on who you ask, Rob B. Based upon the events that took place this weekend, it doesn't surprise me whatsoever. A lot of other commentators have been commenting on their concerns over the issues that he has presented himself against the establishment, and that his life was always at risk. And of course, the media positioned that 20-year-old gentleman as being the primary and the only shooter. But immediately when I saw that, I'm thinking, like, who sends an amateur to take care of serious business? And thank God that, of course, there was no live. There was, his life wasn't lost, but then again, there was lives lost, and so that's always a tragedy in of itself. But so I don't want to downplay that. But as a result of this, Trump's fan base has grown stronger, and so, mind you, everything we're experiencing now has been strategically organized. We're not in this moment in time and space by accident, and there are controlling forces of a variety of kind, both good and evil, that's at work here. And so I personally, my personal opinion is that the shooter that was taken out was not the actual shooter, and that there was a second or shooter that deliberately graze his ear. I'm not saying that he, grace of God didn't save him. He turned right in time. But I think that graze was more so a warning, not necessarily meant to end his life. And so the scapegoat happened to be that 20-year-old gentleman who was on the roof for 30, 40 minutes. Everybody knew, every Secret Service failed, or did they fail? But mind you, whatever they're positioning in front of us is what they want us to focus on. We'll never know the back end of the story. So I automatically assume the back end as being more legitimate than what we're told, because mind you, this is everything we've been positioned to see is reality TV. But then again, whose reality is it? So anyway, I'll leave that alone, man. But nevertheless, we move forward, and the Fed speak came out yesterday. Jerome Powell basically saying that they're not going to wait till it hits 2% inflation target, CPI figures, before they cut. So therefore, why is he jawboning the markets right now, basically forewarning the markets what's coming, especially towards the end of this year around the presidential side of things. So those are just things that people should be in tune with. But one thing is for sure, as after every cut, shortly thereafter, there's a correction. So we're going to have liquidity's cratering right now, a cut's coming, then followed by the correction. And then based upon previous market activities, it's going to be a very interesting chain of events that ensue from that. So anyway, I don't want to bore you guys long. I won't be before you long, but it's going to be an interesting day. Interesting day. So let's get right into it. Some headlines, man. I'm going to share with you some resources. Never know who might be new. And as always, my name is Mike, the host of Rethinking a Dollar. And my goal is basically to help you think beyond the narratives that's presented to us by unplugging from the monetary matrix. And so here we got 5 simple steps that can make a world of difference for those who might be new. Never know. But it starts off over here to the far left with a 10-question quiz. Take that quiz, open up your monetary knowledge bank as to what you have not been taught deliberately about money. And then once you understand the difference between sound money and fiat currency, then it's time to expand your knowledge base with step 2, which is the awareness phase, where it gives you a chance to think outside the box with some critical thinking, contrarian viewpoint type reports there. And also you get a chance to join the email list there and be notified whenever, special things happen on my end here. And then third is the analyzing phase, where you get a chance to actually dive deeper down the monetary literacy rabbit hole with the dollar cheat sheet. A great opportunity for those to further their knowledge bank. And pretty much every single event that impacted the dollar is listed on that infographic there, step 3. And then, of course, step 4, for those who want to partner with me to work towards automating their silver. You got the RTD Silver team, which is the action part of things. Once you know better, hopefully you do better. And of course, silver, when it breaks, that is the end of the monetary illusion that has been presented before our eyes. And so once it somewhat touches near a all-time high and shoots beyond that, game over with. You won't be able to find an ounce at an affordable rate no matter where you look. So hopefully you are thoroughly saving according to what you believe has value. So Act 4 is the part where you get a chance to automate your weight for those who are interested. So far, so good, doing very well. And then last phase, assemble. Join like-minded communities of any kind that share the same values you have, has the same interests, as well as communities. So people can stay plugged in and be able to, put themselves in position to stay ahead of the game. And so definitely join that if you guys are interested. And then last here, colonialsmetalsgroup.com/RTD. My guy Paul over there is doing a great job of helping people with their retirement aspects. And so, that's one thing that's been on my heart for the longest, because I know if people have been duped and not knowing what money is, then again, they won't know exactly what they're holding doesn't belong to them anyway. So if they lose it, they're on the hook, because there is no insurance on your retirement portfolio. So it's up to you. And that's why I'm proud to partner with those people there, Colonials Metals Group. So if you're interested, quick survey here, fill this out. You'll be contacted by the experts. Ask questions in reference to self-directed IRAs to see if it's something that can meet your needs. And it helps you hold gold and silver in your possession and basically preserve, protect everything that you work so hard for. And moving forward, there's going to be a lot more people finding out that there are some things that unfortunately they didn't know, but it was designed on purpose, and they are the ones that will be stuck without. So just something there. But as you guys can see here, links in the description, get all the questions you answered needed. You can actually give them a call and speak to them as well, and go from there. So just a little something there for those who might be new to the community. You never know. Okay, let's jump right into it, man. I'll probably get out, I'm trying to go through just some articles I have in front of me here, and then we'll jump into some market activity or whatever, but just want to try to stay on point here. But yesterday, Jerome Powell gave a little bit of a talk. And for those who pay attention to him for those that think that he's still in control, so be it. But I'm only watching the Fed speak that comes from his mouth because he fronts run the markets. And so basically predicting what will come. So that buys people more time. And it allows you, if you had a strategy, to really double down for those who are actively working their plan. But he's basically telling us that they're going to cut. They have to cut. And as of right now, there's not much of a stranglehold on the economy, even though it's impacting us, more than they're willing to admit. But we haven't seen nothing yet. So real quick here, thumb through some headlines here. And just this headline caught my attention. Powell indicates Fed won't wait until inflation is down to 2%. So according to them, they've been doing quite well, bringing it down from 9 down to 3-ish. But then again, that's not enough. They want to get it down to 2, and they're persistent on doing that. So even though I've talked about how fraudulent their numbers are, we'll just play along with their game. Okay. But real quick here, thumb through some things here. And this is just a little summary from his talk yesterday. But Powell referenced the idea that central bank policy works with long and variable lags, of course. And the lags is where the problem lies, because it's not until 12 to 16 months after their initial policy response, then that's when the real side effects kick in. So even when they cut, it's going to be a little bit of a lag before there is a true response. And so it's good that he at least speaking truth there. To explain why the Fed won't wait for its target to be hit, the central bank is looking for greater confidence that inflation will return to 2% level, Powell said. And of course, it is not possible to return to 2% because 2% is a fictitious number in and of itself. And because of the monetary expansion of the last 4 years, they couldn't go back there if they wanted to. Apart from adjusting the basket of goods that they use to get these figures, it's not mathematically possible. So they have to talk a good game about how they can try to get near it, and then they'll cut. Okay. And then it says here, the Fed's next policy meeting is end of July, and so we'll have to wait and see. But as of now, Bank of America, let me share with you real quick. Bank of America has baked in 3 cuts. Let me see here. I didn't have this ready, but I'll just share this with you quickly here. Here we go. This is from Zero Hedge this morning. So I'll bring this on the screen here just to let you know, as a result of Fed speaking, the Bank of America corporate is now modeling 3 rate cuts for 2024. And so we're 5.5, 5 to 5.25. So based upon their forecast, that gets us to 4.5-ish, 4.25-ish before or around the election time frame. And once again, a lot of their policy measures have a lot to do with who and how this upcoming election cycle ends up. And as of right now, of course, every news and syndicate I'm seeing talks about, Trump is for sure. When you have a lot of people of a variety of skin color coming out saying that it's a sure bet Trump is going to win, to them, based upon the way they see things, typically in black and white, that could be deemed a good thing. But based upon previous events, and let me just give you a quick little rant, because this plays into just my overall thesis on how I started off by saying it doesn't matter who wins, it's the events that follow after whoever wins is going to be where the American people as well as the world will be impacted the greatest, because it's those events that will be labeled as false flags, but which are actually already planned. And everything has to do with this health narrative right now. So that's why I'm consider myself to be somewhat apolitical, not left or right, just want to shoot straight down the middle with some truth, because nothing, as I mentioned before, comes out of DC worth our while. Nothing in DC will benefit us at this point, because the game it's too late. But real quick, little quick rant. So based upon what I'm seeing, the narrative now, because of the triumphant events for Trump this past weekend, his fan base has strengthened severely. Therefore, more and more people now have been drawn in. And so it's a shoe-in, barring any type of unforeseen events. And, of course, the Democrats will put it as if like they have a lot to fight for. So they're going to roll out all stops, everything up their sleeves to try to not allow that to happen. So we'll find out what happens. But anyway, regardless. And so just say, for example, President Trump gets in, landslide victory. Democrats, they cheat, but they can't cheat enough. Okay, landslide victory, Trump gets in. Okay, cool, boom. He's already gave his entire blueprint as to how he's going to unravel the deep state. And so just common sense would tell me that if I'm telling my enemy what I'm going to do, the enemy runs the system. The enemy that's above the enemy runs the system. So no matter what, now it's time for plan B or the next phase of this, great reset that we're in the midst of. This is a 10-year plan, as I always mention. No matter what, who's in office, they're going to still roll out these events. They've put too much money into restructuring and reshaping humanity to give up now. These public-private partnerships at this current moment, unless Christ returns or we the people actually stop looking at left and right, Trump or Biden, as if they're going to do something and do it ourselves, they're going to win. I'm sorry to tell you that, newsflash. So, once again, it's just a matter of how fast or slow. Trump may slow things down, but ultimately the people who are his backers will benefit. And if Biden remains, it's going to be sped up. And so, okay, I mentioned all that because if Trump wins, they'll bring the system down. Stock market, and then with these cuts are coming because of the liquidity crunch. It's only going to incentivize them even more to point the blame at Trump. And mind you, he wasn't in office for 4 years, but because the system all interconnected, it'll be easy to blame Trump. And even the people who support him, because they're so concerned with the political theatrics taking place right now, they don't consider the entire package of our monetary system, their financial future, the political structure of our country, the civil it's the civil aspects of this rebranded, I can't say reimagined, but this destroyed, world we live in. Like, I don't know what our population is right now. The last consensus was like, what, we had 324 million, but they've let in 30, 40, 50 million people. So we probably are, 360, 370, and we're not all born here. Therefore, we're not all, legally authorized citizens for the benefits that come with being a part of this land here. So you factor in that after this next upcoming crash or correction, whatever it's going to be called, it's going to be pandemonium potentially. And of course, Trump's going to get the blame. And then there's going to be some emergency measures. The same people who are in charge right now, the legislative branch, Senate and House, they're going to come in with some type of sweeping measures to save the day. But the sweeping measures have already been determined. They already know what they want to do. So, there's no winning, no matter who wins in November. But that's it. But then again, people say, Mike, you're so pessimistic. But I'm like, dude, I have more than enough evidence to back all this up. And so there's some people who might be saying, okay, well, Trump won. He surprised us, and he surprised Hillary Clinton. He's supposed to won. If he wouldn't, okay, sure. But what we're experiencing now would have happened 4 years ago. And then imagine where they will be now if that is true. And so, and a lot of this has to do with his VP pick, JD Vance. Like, the other side of JD Vance, outside of what the American people are being portrayed as, like he's just, he's getting ready for presidential 2028, and he's that guy. He's bought and paid for too. Peter Thiel is Peter Thiel is the reason why he got elected in Ohio. And now I believe a lot of that shot that grazed the ear was that, that reminder. Hold on, dude, you're getting out of hand. You're talking a little bit too much. Here, pick my guy, pick our guy, and we'll work with this. And mind you, and this is a rant, but this is just me just being 100. Based upon his previous selection with Pence, how did that relationship end? And so Trump picked yes men until he needs them most, and that's when their true colors come through. And so Michael Pence and him, I don't think they on speaking terms. But then again, that was his guy. So I'm not saying he's a bad judge of character, or it's just the people he used and picked, and people who have his ear, referring to Trump, they pick his people. Therefore, the people they pick determine his policy overall. But anyway, that's just my contrarian viewpoint on this. But JD Vance got a nice little side I'm going to share with you in one moment. But okay, so let's focus on the liquidity. Reason why the Fed is going to cut, because they're stranglehold the economy on purpose. But then again, they could bring it down under Trump's watch, and it's going to come down naturally under Biden, but at least they would prolong it more so that it doesn't point directly to Biden, even though we all know it's not either left or right. It's the way the system is designed. And so, as always, I'm okay. I got to stay on point. Okay, let me stay on point. Okay. All right, so I'll start off talking about liquidity. And so, basically he's just telling the markets, liquidity's coming. We're going to cut the spigot on, but when these cuts start. And of course, after that, a couple with the lagging effect is, market's correct. Okay, cool. And so here's a interesting graph that I wanted to share, highlighting more of why the cuts must come. And it's because of the liquidity or lack thereof. So this is from Global Markets Investor, does a good job sharing stories. But he says global central banks liquidity just dropped to the lowest since 2022. What happened in 2022? Everybody decided to start tightening. Global central banks start tightening in unison at the same time. So it says liquidity is one of the main drivers of the bond and stock markets. It says since the October low, global reserves rose by $600 billion in just 6 months, fueling an S&P gain of 30%. Now liquidity has been drained. And so the excess liquidity that was put out previous to the tightening phase is what's waning down now. It has been a major factor in juicing the markets. And of course, this fraudulent AI narrative that NVIDIA is leading the world because of technology boom. Majority of that is media hype and just the rollout of these version ones of these large language models that have a lot of people excited because it's being positioned in front of us as if like it's being, mind you, people were living in a Truman Show. Like they tell us what they want us to believe. They tell us what they want us to do. They tell us how they want us to invest. They tell us where the markets are that offers the most, return. But then again, the people who are building this stuff, they've already been in it. So they are the ones that are getting richer. So this is the greatest example of how the rich get richer. They create the narrative. They set the plan. They fund and invest in the plans. Then they have all the mainstream news sources tell you how great it is and how this is going to be the next best thing. Then the retail investors, i.e. mom and pops and their mutual funds, get involved and pump the markets even more. They get richer. They exit out because the shares of the companies increase. They become billionaires on top of what they've already been doing. And then the average person in their mutual funds like, man, my portfolio went up 20,000, 40,000, 50,000. My retirement portfolio looking good until it's not. And okay, man, I just get carried away. I get carried away. So I've been talking more about retirement, and let me just share something with you that caught my attention that I'm going to save it. I'm going to save the bulk, a little QT, but this is something that it's good to say. It's good to say. I'm very confident to say that the average person here hasn't paid attention to this. And so here we have, let me share with you just a little video. And this is where I want to encourage you to go do some research on your own because it'll be worth your while. But let me share this with you here. So this is a video here. It was done by Frontline. And so they interviewed John Bogle, this guy here, who is the founder of Vanguard. Oops, give me a second. I got the wrong screen on. Okay. Give me a second here. Forgive me. Got too many windows open. Okay. This guy here is the founder of Vanguard. Before he passed away, he was sounding an alarm, telling people that 401ks, they are not really what people think they are. They're not designed to offer the type of returns people really think. It benefits them more than it benefits the person. And he mentioned some concepts here. It was compounding. He gave a term here. Let me this is just something for people to because I'm going to do more research on this, but he listed a term, compounding, basically compounding fees is what he basically said. Savers, like the system isn't designed to offer the returns that people think. So basically 50 years later, if you invest in a 401k, i.e. through their mutual funds, because of the fees and the compounding nature of what they charge you to run it for you, you only get, you lose 2/3 of your retirement at the end of the day by going the recommended way. So anyway, type in Frontline Retirement Gamble Mutual Fund fees, and you'll get a better understanding as to what I'm trying to warn people of. And I'm not going to bore you more with that, but if the creator of Vanguard says that the mutual fund concept that they have now bundled into 401ks as being one of the primary mediums for people to participate in wasn't designed to succeed, then that's just something that people should be aware of. Okay. I'm not gonna rant about that anymore. But I'll put together a more comprehensive video for you guys to understand. Okay, so back to this little situation here. Liquidity. Focus on liquidity. Focus on liquidity, not the narratives coming out of politicians' mouth. So here's the chart I want to show here. Liquidity is cratering, and globally, it's at its lowest form since 2022 before they began the easing phase. So just based upon here, blue is liquidity. Blue is liquidity, and we got bonds inflows and then equity inflows. So here we are now, and 3-month lead here. It's been negative 58. So we see everything that took place. Like we see all this here. Wherever when liquidity was there, immediately following that lag that Jerome Powell mentioned, the lagging effect of this liquidity is what spurred all this so-called economic booming with the S&P and everything else. But as that has been dwindling away, as we're witnessing here, now we're getting into the phase where it's already sub-zero, i.e. in reference to what's needing for the S&P to remain high. Mind you, he's talking about a 3-month lead here. So looking ahead, more liquidity is needed to keep these overly priced markets up there where, they're enough for people to still believe that this is a natural occurrence. So literally, I imagine the fact that central bank global liquidity, because it's so low, somewhat historically low, as a result of the QE process, it's only natural that it has to reverse in order to keep these bubbles inflated. So Jerome Powell's talking about, cutting before we get to 2%. Like, he has to begin making plans, because if not, their gain will be exposed, because the S&P will cool off. Because once again, where are those funds coming from? As of right now, a lot of the funds is coming from the retail investor, i.e. through mutual funds being suckered into reallocating towards this tech bubble that we're experiencing right now. So mind you, everything that we are experiencing is being narrated out of the same people who benefits the most, and it's not the average person who gets in after the fact. Okay, so that's just that. But keeping it moving. Let's get into Elon. So as of right now, due to all this stuff happening, more billionaires are jumping on the Trump train, and it seems like it's a no-brainer. And if you're bringing in $45 million a month that's being donated to Trump-supporting PAC movements, that right there can buy you enough support, promotional advertising. It can change a lot of people's minds. You put $45 million on into the pot per month, and you divvy up those funds. It can change a lot of people's minds. So Elon Musk and the other billionaires are really pushing for Trump to get in. And mind you got to always ask yourself, people who donate, they donate for a reason, because they have something that they will then request or ask on the back end of this. And so by all these billionaires getting on the Trump train, he going to owe a lot of people. And one thing I would imagine, I can't verify this, but one thing I can imagine, billionaires, even though they're competitive amongst themselves, they want to be the first in this certain thing, they always look out for their own. And so the billionaires who invested in Trump previous presidential run, it's good to say, even though he was disruptive, he did a lot of things that countered the establishment's narrative, reversing a lot of things, cut taxes, which as of right now, that cut is set to expire in 2025. And if it goes down, everybody going to be impacted. So we'll see how that plays out. But everybody who invested in Trump, it's good to say they left. When he left office, they were well off as well, beyond what they were prior to his presidency. So that's one of the benefits of donating each side. You get what you want no matter what. So with Elon putting up $45 million a month, to me, that's a way of basically reassuring some things. And of course, I don't trust Elon as far as I know him personally, and I don't know him. So that's why I damn sure don't trust him, because he is an uber wealthy gentleman who has the world in his hands with the help of the government. So all his companies, when the government funds your companies, we know the government doesn't operate in the best interest of the people. So therefore, they're going to use Elon Musk and this technology for their own good above the American people. So, yeah. Okay, I'll leave it at that. The next one, let's talk about gold a little bit. So gold, is not a mainstream subject because of, the digital revolution that's taking place. But yesterday I saw gold touch 2430, and of course, probably cooled off a little bit. But for the sake of, let's touch on gold real quick and see where we stand at this current moment. And so as of right now, it doesn't look like it matters, because gold is at 2445-ish. And it's up $25. So gold literally is telling us that the dollar overall, regardless of what the Dixie says, regardless of what, all the metrics that the financial system uses to gauge the basket of currencies, gold in reference to its value compared to fiat, lump them all together, is showing that fiat is not in the greatest position right now. And so this is something, once again, should be something that would be headline news. Gold is moving because gold is an indicator of what's really happening in the broader sense internationally. And so right now gold is 24.45. That lets me know that something's happening behind the scenes. And of course, the people who hold the most gold benefit the most. And we know Asia and Russia and all the BRICS and what they are working towards puts them in a much better position to provide the world with alternatives at some point. And then silver is also above 30. That's something that, once again, puts the bullion banks in a little bit of a pinch because there'll be more people looking to withdraw. Then I'll put more of demand on the physical and less on the future. So let's just pay attention to this because it might be down below $29 if they can get it. Just create a couple billion pieces of paper and dump it. But then again, manipulation is your friend. So keep that in mind. And also, platinum and palladium are also right now being positioned as strategic metals by Asia. So right now we're looking at $997, $991. They're under $1,000. So platinum and palladium are way more scarce than gold and silver, and they have pure industrial use case factored in the potential of being a part of some type of basket in the future. So just something to pay attention to for my people who realize opportunity. The closer you are to what's real, what comes from the earth, the better you are, in my opinion. Okay. And then what else? Once Big Daddy Larry Fink comes out on national TV giving his thumbs of approval for Bitcoin, where they want the money to flow. So Bitcoin literally right now has recovered 10,000 plus over the last week of it cooling off some based upon all the, the tremors are selling off there. But when Larry Fink tells people everyone should consider Bitcoin in their portfolios, you better believe all the 401ks, all the financial entities that are responsible for the average Joe's investments, they're going to be getting letters, calls in the mail saying, hey, Larry said you might want to allocate a little bit. And so clearly Larry Fink knows the final outcome of this digital revolution, and he's creating products to draw in people's capital so they can make fees. Mind you, the whole point in running everything for you is to make it look as if you're benefiting, but the fees is what makes them uber rich, because the fees are compounding investment strategies for them throughout the entire lifespan of your portfolio. So whatever your portfolio retirement date is, the fees that they're going to make on running the account for you will do them wonders. And so hopefully, anyway. But Blackrock CEO Larry Fink explains why everyone should consider Bitcoin in portfolio. So be ready. They're going to cut the spigot on. All the funds that make it into the system will somehow, some way find their way into the ETFs, making Larry Fink and his crew richer. Then they're going to roll out more ETFs of all kinds. Ethereum is set to launch its ETF officially trading, I think next week I saw. So that's going to be another tranche of funds being allocated there. And to me, it becomes quite clear where they want people to go. And for me to speak out against any of this, it's just people like Mike, you're hating, and but once again, whatever's positioned before you as being the ideal direction for you to go, you can't always follow the herd. You got to also consider how do they benefit from this and how do that actually help you in the long run. So anyway, but that's Larry. And then next here, let's talk a little bit about JD Vance. So Dr. Ruby, Jane Ruby shared some information about Dr. JD Vance. And so he's Trump's front guy, whatever. He's been positioned as the guy that's going to help Trump disrupt and do all the deep state stuff. But she shares some information about his investments that, once again, you can't ignore it. And she does a great job, investigative work, sharing information. But if he's invested in the same direction they're steering us towards, then to me, it confirms that he's bought and paid for, because think about all the other backers to the companies that these guys are a part of. Like Trump's Trump is surrounded by people who will benefit from the transition that's taking place. They're going to get their ideal outcome, no matter who's in position. And the reason I can say that with such strong conviction is that outside of the talking points and some of the policies implemented that has slowed down this reset, it was all undone when Biden came in. All the executive orders put in place by Trump saying, we're not going to participate in this. We're going to do this. We're going to remove this, pay us, and we're not participating. Okay, it worked for 3-4 years. He leaves, Biden, we sending money everywhere still. Okay. Now, so if Trump gets in next time, he'll sign some executive orders. We're not going to pay this. You're going to pay us to secure. You're going to do that. We're going to want to deport everybody. Okay, sure. But then again, like all the means to accomplish what he's going to try to accomplish comes through the same people that's backing him. So all the government spending for deporting, 30, 40 million people, they're going to use companies that will benefit from the government funding it. So Peter Thiel and all the billionaire backers, they're getting the government contracts. So, so the investment is, I'll support you now. I'll give you 20 million a month now because you're going to give me 50 million back when you give me the contracts. So anyway, okay. But the reason I say all this, and the reason I can be so blunt and outright, because just I look long-term as to what's really going on. And at the end of the day, to me, Trump's lasting legacy will be his signature that he put on paper in the midst of the crises that took place that created Operation Warp Speed. Operation Warp Speed will go down in history books. When we look back 20 years from now, mind you, as long as the Lord tarry, we'll have had the greatest impact on our economy over anything he's done ever before, because of the authorization and the funding using taxpayer dollars to spend funds to create a biological weapon that has impacted humanity in a way that we'll never recover. Because now mRNA technology has been validated as something that has been used in every aspect of our lives moving forward. And I mentioned mRNA technology because here we have his vice president, J.D. Vance. Looks like we are in for more fake pandemics and mRNA bioweapons. J.D. Vance summary. He is a investor, creator in a lot of these mRNA companies. Amplify Bio and RNA V8 Bio announced strategic partnership to support mRNA therapeutic developers from sequence design to GMP manufacture. So JD Vance summary, according to this screenshot from Dr. Ruby Jane, so you validate on your own, but he created his primary organization, his capital, his venture firm, which let me see here, is Narya Capital, has put up funds in all these technologies for mRNA. The startup has grown to nearly 250 employees since about whatever. The Columbus Research nonprofit provided $100 million worth of backing, including West Jefferson headquarters, laboratory, whatever. Vikings Capitals, whatever. Narya Capital, which is JD Vance's startup. The Hercules Financial financing, in contrast, is non-dilutive, meaning the co-owners don't give up equity. So Narya Capital, which is JD Vance's his financial child, is invested in all these companies that are really behind the mRNA process that they're working for the future. And so Amplify Bio added 28 new clients in 2020, its first full year, which it enabled it to add some 100 jobs since 100, whatever. Jerry Hacker, whatever. So JD Vance, co-founder of Narya Capital, invests in Amplify Bio, and RNA Bio announced strategic partnership to support the RNA therapeutic developers. Okay. And so JD Vance has vested interests in making sure that mRNA succeeds. And the only way it can succeed is if they create events. Events are created that allows their technology to be implemented into society. So you won't hear about JD Vance removing funds. You won't even hear the other Republicans in his party demanding that he divest his funds out of those companies, renounce them, expose them, talk about them, and shine light on them as being not good for the people. He won't do that. It's too much money at stake. So right now, JD Vance's net worth could be, some of his portfolio holders came out and the Bitcoin community went crazy. He has, a certain percentage of his portfolio in Bitcoin, certain percentage in mutual funds, certain percentage in gold. So people are like, oh man, Bitcoin to the moon. Okay, whatever. But point of case is his Republican counterparts won't call him out for his investment portfolio in his capital firm and these companies. He won't. And so what does that mean? Get ready for some event that comes if Trump wins. So if Trump wins or Biden wins, no matter what, mRNA is going to be rolled out regardless to the masses. And he's gonna go from maybe 5 million, 10 million, 20 million net worth right now. He's gonna be a billionaire when all this ends. Okay, whatever. Don't believe me. So let me share something else with you real quick here. And I'll end on this. This is from Slay News. They do a good job of giving you the truth. Ranchers blow the whistle. Food supply spiked with mRNA injections. And he talks about rancher Trevor Cowley revealed during an interview that the feds have been experimenting on livestock by injecting animals destined for the food supply by mRNA shots. Real Business Owners podcast talked about President Joe Biden's, his Department of Agriculture has been running secret trials on animals. So just an example, they injected 500 pigs, 100 died. And so it's probably good to say whether the animals live or die, they take the meat, slaughter it, put it into society. And according to the information here, it remains in the meat and it's dispersed throughout society, goes on grocery shelf stores, people buy it. mRNA vaccines. So I could be a tinfoil hat wearing individual. Call me what you may. But JD Vance has a vested interest to make sure that his company succeed over your health. So that's just the news for today, people. A little bit morning check-in here. But it is what it is. Be blessed, be safe, stay prayed up, enjoy life. And once again, if you know what's coming and how they're trying to do it, hopefully you avoid it by taking steps to minimize your dependency on all of these avenues and go from there. So, all right, my good people, be blessed, be safe, enjoy the rest of your day, and be great. Love, laugh, live, and learn. Shalom.